Shame is among the most ancient instruments of control, and for women, it has been the invisible thread that sews them into the seams of patriarchal systems. Unlike outright force or legislation, shame works quietly through suggestion, social cues, withdrawal of approval, and sacred texts. It teaches women not only how to behave, but how to feel about their behavior. It is emotional surveillance, turning women into their own wardens. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned us of this inner prison. In On the Genealogy of Morals, Nietzsche explains how morality is not always born of virtue, but often of resentment, what he calls slave morality. Women, especially under religious patriarchies, are taught to internalize guilt for their own power and natural desires. The bite of conscience, Nietzsche writes, is like a dog biting a stone. It's useless pain, redirected inward instead of outward. The female conscience, shaped by centuries of male doctrine, bites hardest at her own freedom. Aristotle, in contrast, spoke plainly from within the patriarchal tradition. He believed women were inferior by nature, a deformed male, lacking full rationality. In his Politics, he justified the subjugation of women, stating, "The male is by nature superior, and the female inferior, and the one rules, and the other is ruled." For a woman to step outside this hierarchy, shame must follow. Honor for a man is in public recognition. For a woman, it is in retreat, silence, and modesty. Deviate from that, and dishonor awaits. Modern philosopher Silvia Federici gives us a historical lens through which to see this shame more clearly. In Caliban and the Witch, she uncovers how the transition to capitalism required not only a new economic order, but a new discipline of the female body. Shame was weaponized during witch hunts. Midwives, herbalists, women with knowledge or independence were tortured, burned, and smeared with sexual and demonic accusations. The message was clear. Female autonomy is not only dangerous, it is evil. And through shame, that message continues to echo. French philosopher Geneviève Frazé speaks of the way shame operates as a form of erasure. In her work on the exclusion of women from knowledge, she shows how shame has been a gatekeeper in intellectual spaces. Women were shamed for reading too much, thinking too deeply, speaking too publicly. Even today, the mansplaining phenomenon is a watered-down version of this shame, reminding women that too much confidence is a kind of trespass. Then there is Michael Foucault, who did not write directly about gender, but his ideas on discipline and surveillance are essential. In Discipline and Punish, Foucault shows how systems of power embed control through visibility and internalization. The panopticon of patriarchal culture is the ever-present possibility of being judged by men, by other women, and worst of all, by oneself. The modesty checklist in a Mormon youth pamphlet, the sideways glance at a girl's hemline, the phrase, "What will people think?" all are forms of subtle, constant policing. Shame is the tool. Conformity is the goal. In literature, shame echoes too. Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter reveals how a woman marked by sexual agency is forced to wear her shame on her chest, a literal letter A for adultery. But unlike her Puritan judges, she does not go with her. Her shame becomes a shield. Yet for many women, especially in religious or traditional communities, shame does not elevate. It corrodes. Today, shame still wears many disguises. The Instagram comment calling a mother selfish for working. The church talk praising women who sacrifice careers as more righteous. The inner voice saying she is too loud, too sexual, too ambitious. Shame trains women to believe that choosing themselves is betrayal, that obedience is love, that invisibility is virtue. But as philosopher Caroline Serrato Perez reminds us in Invisible Women, the world is not designed for women's flourishing, and so stepping outside that design often provokes backlash, disguised as morality. The default male is not neutral, she writes. It is a template that distorts everything. To dismantle the systems that rely on shame, women must first name it. Recognize it not as a compass for righteousness, but a leash. Shame, when exposed, loses power. And when women stop apologizing for their anger, for their hunger, for their joy, they begin to taste freedom. As Nietzsche said, he who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises. The question is, what if women no longer despise themselves at all? What if shame, like a snake shedding skin, finally slipped off?